I walked in the door at 5:30 p.m. and heard my wife Devon in the kitchen. It was unusual, but nice, because she rarely comes home before 6. I heard her humming softly as I walked in and walked up behind her. She breaks away, turns around, and says with an angry look, "Alec, leave me alone. Can't you see what I'm cooking? Go upstairs and get yourself tidied up. We have guests for dinner." I couldn't believe my ears. My wife came home early for the first time in 2 years, invited guests, and didn't even tell me about it, and also doesn't want me to show her any affection. "Devon, what the hell is going on?" I ask, sincerely surprised by her behavior, which is extremely uncharacteristic of her. "You came home early, invited guests, and didn't even consult me, or at least not warn me, and then you push away my caresses and come at me again. I came home early to cook. I don't have to ask permission to invite guests to dinner at my house." Her attitude and mannerisms haven't changed one bit. "No permission, but show a little respect to your husband, yes. Besides, this is our house, and I also have rights regarding guests. Maybe I've had a really bad day, and I just want some peace and quiet. I thank God for a loving and understanding wife who respects me and cares about my feelings. Hell, I don't need to know who you're going to invite to our doorstep today, because it would be too much for such an empathic and caring wife," I said with sarcasm dripping with every word as I went upstairs to shower. "I'm Alec Dwyer, 36, and my wife Devon, 35. I'm an independent marketing consultant helping develop and implement marketing strategies for local small and large businesses. Devon is an attorney at Stark, Evans & Doan, a local law firm that specializes in contract law and has a small criminal and civil law practice. She practices contract law. Professionally, we work with some of the same clients for different reasons and rarely cross paths during work hours unless we are in the same offices, which has happened once or twice. While I enjoy the relaxing jets of water, the shower isn't the only thing steaming. What's her problem? I think to myself as the hot water flows down my body. I just showed her a little love and affection, and she's all over me. I'm not aware of any problems between us lately, and this is the first time she's acted so. Cold and distant. Coming out of the shower, I take a towel and begin to dry myself. I hear voices from the living room, and I assume that at our dinner the guests are already here. I hope Bethany isn't one of them. Bethany meet paralegal at Devon. We're like oil and water together, but Devon is constantly trying to smooth us over socially. If Bethany is here, it's going to be a long and stressful evening. As I walk down the stairs, I hear Bethany's voice, which to me is like the sound of nails on a chalkboard. I hear her talking to a man, so I stop at the top of the stairs to listen a little to find out who the secret guest is today. I hear Bethany say, "Don't worry, Lorenzo, Devon will sort everything out, and you'll be living here by the end of the evening. I know she wants you to move out, plus she needs a break from that bastard of a husband." This bitch continues, "I work to make her see in him what I see a loser, and she is ready to take you into the house, and then everything depends on you." Now I can hear this guy Lorenzo saying, "Don't worry, Bethany, I'm flirting more every day. Once I move in, it will only be a matter of time before I replace her husband in her bed and heart." I can imagine the smug look on his face as he continues, "Dude, when you go for someone, you go all out. I never want to get on your bad side. Why do you hate Devon's husband so much? I just don't love him, and he doesn't love me, and most importantly, he doesn't deserve a woman like Devon. I will never understand what she saw in him. This is where you come into play. The sooner you seduce her, the sooner I'll get rid of Alec, and the better it will be for Devon. And then I'll use my magic to win her over, and I'll have her in my bed in no time. So enjoy it while you have the chance." Stunned, I turn around and head back to the bedroom. I need to think and collect my thoughts, and most importantly, try to come up with a plan to stop this before it goes too far. Sitting on the bed, head in hands, I think, how could Devon fall for this? She's a smart woman, a damn lawyer. I was loving and supportive of her and her career. Apart from the usual arguments that married couples have from time to time, we haven't had any major problems, so why? Now she plans to move this bastard into our house, while he crawls like a snake, intending to seduce my wife and destroy my marriage. The question is, how far has Devon come? Perhaps it's too late and I've already lost her. This would explain her hostility towards me. How long has that bitch Bethany been working on my wife? An even bigger question is why. There must be more than just mutual dislike. I know stories where the husband wants him cuckolded and enjoys watching his wife make or share love with another man. It's definitely not for me. I take commitment and my wedding vows seriously, so there's no way I'm going to let that bastard take my place in Devon's bed or her heart, even if my marriage is over. And this bitch will definitely never touch her. It really hurt me that she took that man-hating bitch Bethany at her word, without even trying to discuss with me whatever she thought I had done to try to sort out the issues. Until now, we have always respected each other and talked about everything that concerned us and our marriage. I feel betrayed, like I've already been cheated on. I thought we had a real deep connection and a stronger marriage than that. Lost in thought, I did not notice how Devon entered the room and how long she stood looking at me with eyes full of hatred. "Alec, why are you just sitting here? Our guests are already here. It would be nice if you got off your ass and entertained them while I finished cooking." She clearly made it clear that she was unhappy with me. "Sorry, Dev," my affectionate name for her. "I'm on my way. Who should I entertain?" If you really care to know, this is Bethany and a new colleague. His name is Lorenzo. He just graduated from law school and is working as an intern until he passes his exam, and don't call me Dev, was her sharp answer, after which she abruptly left the room. As I walked down the stairs, I wasn't looking forward to the next few hours with joy, especially knowing what the plan really was for that evening. "Hey, Bethany, who's your friend?" "Hi, Alec. I'd like you to meet Lorenzo Caruso. He works in the office with me." "Hi, Lorenzo. Nice to meet you," I said without much conviction. "Alec, yes, you are lucky. Dev is a beautiful woman." "Dev, are you serious?" The smug look on his face shows how little respect he has for me and my marriage. "Anyone want a drink?" Bethany spoke first. "Yes, you know my favorite drink, and Lorenzo will have the same." Her usual drink is white wine. I walked into the kitchen to get Devon her drink, but when she saw it was me, she said, "Put it on the table, sharp." "Devon, what's your problem with me? I'm trying to be polite, but all you do is yell at me. What's going on?" "It's just a big deal at work. I'm nervous, so maybe you could give me some space." "If you're so damn nervous, then why did you invite these two to dinner?" The anger was evident in my voice, and I had finally had enough of being a doormat. "You act like crap, barely talk to me, and when you do, it's full of contempt, and then you invite the audience for this little show that unfolds." As I spoke, she turned around, refusing to even look me in the eyes, and this angered me beyond belief. "I know more about your little passion show than you might realize, but if you want to play games, fine, I'll play. Do you want space? Okay, you have it. Oh, and by the way, you are not going to move into this house with your boyfriend unless you are ready to consummate our marriage right now, Dev." Before she could answer, I left the kitchen and headed into the living room. I took the drinks from Bethany and Lorenzo. "Dinner is canceled, now get out." There was complete surprise on their faces, and before Bethany could say anything, I said, "The door is over there." Lorenzo tried to go into the kitchen, but I stopped him. Opening the door, I pushed him out. I turned around to see Bethany getting ready to hit me. I moved my face closer to her and said, "Bethany, I never want to see you again. If Devon sees you, it will mean our marriage is over, and I will blame you for it, and believe me, you and your lover will pay for it. Now get out of here." She screamed something while I closed the door on her and locked it. I returned to the kitchen to find Devon sitting at the table, crying. She looked down, still refusing to look at me. "Devon, before I give you the space you so desperately want, I need to say a few things, and you better listen. First of all, dinner has been canceled, and the two homewreckers you brought to our house have left at my invitation. Tomorrow, when this is your home, you can do whatever you want regarding dinner companions and guests." I overheard your bitch friend Bethany and that ass Lorenzo plotting to bring him into my home and my marriage in order to force me to take it or leave. Well, I choose the latter. The quiet crying turned into loud, uncontrollable sobs. Normally this would bother me, but today I continued to say my thing. You have deeply hurt me with your attitude and actions this evening by refusing to speak to me civilly or discuss what bothers you about me. You allow outsiders to dictate the status of our marriage, and then you conspire to make me a cuckold. I see now how little I or our relationship means to you, so I will tell you what I plan to do, more than you showed me this evening. I'm going upstairs, packing my things and leaving so you can have all the space your heart needs. No, Uo, Devon said through sobs. I give you 1 week to think about the events of this evening, and by next Friday, I want your decision about our marriage. I want you to answer these questions. Did you know what their ultimate goal was? Were you planning on cuckolding me? Why should we stay together? If our marriage is a fraud, then why not ask me for a divorce instead of this stupid game? What do you think I did to make you behave this way? What did she tell you to create this situation? Do you know that her ultimate plan is to seduce you and get you into her bed? After 5 years of marriage, don't I deserve attention and respect? Have you ever loved me? I'll be meeting with my lawyer this week and getting the divorce papers ready to serve next Monday, and while I'm not sure anything you say will convince me not to go through with it, you may or may not try. I walked over to the table, lifted her head, and made her look at me. Do you know what was the most painful? When you told me not to call you Dev, even though I know you let Lorenzo call you that, and whether you had sex or not, it tells me you're already close. Goodbye, Devon. Leaving the kitchen, I went to our bedroom, packing my clothes and personal items into 2 suitcases. Using my phone, I made a reservation at the Residence Inn. Taking my bags, I went downstairs and saw Devon lying on the floor in front of the garage door. I opened the door and stepped through it. Opening the trunk, I put my suitcases inside, closed the lid, and got into the car. Started the engine, opened the garage door, and went outside. When I drove to the hotel, I felt pain and great anger towards my wife. I felt a white burning hatred for Bethany and that ass Lorenzo. If one or both were here right now, I'm not sure I could stop myself from beating them to death. As I approached the front desk, I was greeted by a sweet young woman. She looked about 18. Her hair was shoulder length, light blonde with darker shades, which suited her very well. Ironically, the name badge on her ample chest had the name Sandy written on it. Her eyes, a beautiful shade of porcelain blue, radiated innocence, showing that she had not yet faced the harsh realities of a cruel world. Before handing me the key, she said, "Excuse me, Mr. Dwyer, are you feeling okay? You look very pale." Appreciating her concern, I replied, "No, it's just been a very long day, and I'm very tired. Nothing a good night's sleep won't fix. Thank you, Sandy. Good night." I saw her smiling sweetly as I grabbed my bags and headed towards the elevator. Once in the room, I took out the bottle of Jack that I had packed. I grabbed the ice bucket and headed to the ice machine to fill it up. Returning to my room, I took a plastic glass, tore off the packaging, and filled it with ice. I poured a double shot, admiring the amber color of Old No. 7 as it flowed down the frozen ice cubes, absorbing some of their icy coldness. Slowly bringing the glass of the magical drink to my lips, I took a long sip. He held the whiskey in his mouth, enjoying the burning sensation on his tongue. As I swallowed, I felt the same burning sensation continuing down my throat and felt a warm glow as the liquid reached my stomach. However, this charcoal nectar did little to ease my anger, frustration, or pain. Logically, I understand that as far as I know, my wife has not actually cheated on me, physically at least. However, the emotional connection she seems to have with this ass hurts, just as much, if not more, because it indicates the level of intimacy that a wife should not have with a man outside of marriage. Coupling this with the fact that she accepted the words of others unconditionally without even asking my side or even thinking to tell me that she thought there was something wrong in our relationship. This is nothing less than a betrayal of trust and a complete lack of respect for me. I had finished the whiskey in my glass, so I refreshed the ice and poured more. I rarely drink alcohol, but today it seems appropriate. With only John Daniels for company, I realize that I have a lot to think about and come to terms with. So I find myself sitting in a hotel room alone, sorry, Mr. Jack, contemplating my marriage, or most likely the end of it. I slept restlessly, but woke up at 7:01 a.m. Even though it was Saturday morning, I decided that sleeping was no longer an option and headed for the warm steam of the shower. I took advantage of the seemingly endless hot water and emerged 20 minutes later with skin like a prune but feeling refreshed. I dressed in casual clothes and went to a nearby pancake shop for coffee and breakfast. On a typical Saturday, we go grocery shopping, run errands, I mow the lawn, and run through my chore list while Dev does laundry and cleans the house. I decided to take care of business, so I headed to the office. On the way, I stopped at our local coffee shop for takeout coffee and saw Devin and Bethany sitting there having a serious conversation. I tried to pay for my coffee before any of them noticed me, but unfortunately I was too late as Bethany looked my way. She turned to Devin, saying, "Oh, devil, here comes the bastard." She was loud enough to attract the attention of everyone in the cafe. I felt bile rise in my throat and stepped towards them. "Hey, you man-hating, home-wrecking bitch. I thought I saw your broom parked outside. Devin, I hope you don't let her continue to influence your decisions, because if she does, just tell me and I'll file the paperwork on Monday and get it to you on Wednesday. In fact, if there is any hope for our marriage, you better seriously consider moving away from Bethany forever. Our marriage is on the rocks, and she is the Grim Reaper who will kill him completely. It's completely up to you, so let me know. If not, see you on Friday. Oh, and by the way, before you add anything useless, screw you, Bethany." Enjoying their shocked faces, I turned around and left. After meeting Devin and Bethany, I didn't want to go to the office anymore. So I took out my phone and started looking for weekend events in our city. I discovered that Grant Park hosts a seafood festival where many local restaurants compete and offer a variety of seafood dishes for a $1.50 entry fee. I love seafood, so I decided to go to the park and enjoy the food. As I drove to the park, I wondered if Devin really wanted to save our marriage, or if she was happy with the arrangements Bethany had made. I felt like a pawn, and it made me angry. It wouldn't hurt so much and wouldn't be such a struggle if I didn't love my wife so much. One thing I knew for sure was that any communication with Bethany was a break in the relationship. In this regard, I plan to call Grant Evans. He is one of the founders of the Devon firm and an old family friend. I think he will be interested in what two of his employees do during working hours. Knowing Grant as I do, the bitch and the ass will soon be living on handouts. As I parked, the aroma of fresh seafood cooked to perfection filled the air. While I waited to pay the entrance fee, I decided to watch my house for a few hours tomorrow and see what Devin was up to. If a donkey appears or is already there, my marriage is over. If a bitch appears, then everything will be in question, since I have already expressed my wishes for Bethany. I learned that the event was to benefit veterans, and the elderly man selling tickets turned out to be a Korean War veteran. As I collected my ticket, I thanked him for his service and sacrifice before heading towards the enticing aromas filling the air. I grabbed a bowl of lobster bisque and a lobster roll and found a seat. While I was enjoying the delicious meal, I saw the donkey and Bethany walking past the tent I was sitting under. I wondered if Devin was nearby. He quickly finished his bisque, not having had time to enjoy it, took a lobster roll and followed them. I saw them about 50 meters ahead. They were taking steamed mussels. Then, out of nowhere, I saw Devin appearing around the corner. I watched as the donkey tried to hug and kiss her, but Devin pushed him away and started talking to him with annoyance in her voice, which was a good sign. However, I couldn't help but think she was there for Bethany's advice, which is not a good sign. I followed them, trying to remain unnoticed. Hey, I'm in marketing, not covert surveillance. Donkey continued to work on Devin as she continued to push him away. As I watched them, enjoying the celebration but almost forgetting all the delicious aromas around me, I thought, okay, honey, I continued to watch them eat and talk among themselves for a while. Devin then apologized, hugged Bethany, ignored the donkey's request to do the same, and left. I went to the Ragin kiosk. Cajun for a portion of shrimp etude to take to your room for dinner. On the way, I stopped at a store and bought bread and beer to wash down my dinner. Returning to my room, I began to rethink the events of the day. Apparently, Devin ignored my warning about the donkey and Bethany, but she also rejected his attempts to show her any affection. Then it occurred to me that perhaps one of them, or all three of them, had seen me, and what I was watching was just a show for my benefit. If so, tomorrow's actions will be fruitful. I decided to call my friend Phil, who works as a private investigator, saying that I needed to borrow some equipment. He showed up 45 minutes later, and I let him in. I told him about my situation, and he showed me how to use a camera with a lens and how and where to place the micro cameras and recording device so that they would not be visible. Alec, I'm sorry this is happening to you, friend. I hope she doesn't fall for their crap. Phil is one of my old friends, and his concern were genuine. Thank you, brother. I hope no. I told him. Do me a favor and keep a close eye on the equipment as it costs about $10,000 to replace. Good luck and keep me posted. If you need my help professionally, just tell me. With that, Phil left, and I felt hungry, so I took my dinner out of the fridge and heated up the shrimpitude in the microwave. Suddenly, the room was filled with such tempting aromas. I took a piece of bread and spread butter on it. I grabbed a beer from the fridge and sat down to enjoy my dinner. After dinner, I watched silent TV and decided to go to bed early, as I wanted to be near the house early in the morning to watch what was happening. As I drifted off to sleep, I wondered if tomorrow would be the day my marriage collapsed. I woke up at 5 a.m., quickly showered, got dressed, and got into the car. Stopped at a fast food place for a quick breakfast and coffee before parking on my street, where I could watch the house without being seen. Around 9 a.m., I saw the garage door open and Devin drove out into the street. I followed her, trying not to be seen in her mirrors. She was heading towards Bethany's house. As soon as we left our area, I saw him stand up. It was a donkey. He sat close to Devin. I arrived at Bethany's house and saw them kiss before getting out of the car and walking hand in hand to Bethany's apartment. For the first time, tears began to flow as I was overcome with pain and overcome with enormous anger, pain and disappointment as I watched my marriage end. Bracing myself, I remembered the camera I'd borrowed from Phil and pulled it out while I waited. It was a Canon EOS 5D Mark Roman 4 DSLR with an f/7200mm f/28L is Roman 2 ASM zoom lens. At 10:15 they left, still holding hands. I started taking photographs. As Devin and the donkey walked up to the car, they hugged and kissed again, and I kept clicking the shutter, focusing on the rhythmic sound to keep myself from going in there and breaking the donkey's neck with my bare hands. When they got into Devin's car, I decided I had enough photos and drove to my house. I parked 1 block away and walked towards my old house. Opening the door, I walked in and installed the voice-activated recorder, taping it to the nightstand next to the bed. I then attached a micro camera to the ceiling fan above our bed, another to a photo frame sitting on my dresser facing the bed, and one to each foot of the bed. Then I installed cameras in the kitchen and living room. I opened my laptop, and the program I downloaded the day before allowed me to access the live cameras and record video. I checked the cameras and found that the placement of 2 of them needed to be slightly adjusted. I made the changes, did a final check, and it was done. Closing my laptop, I left the house and returned to the car before Devin returned. At 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Devin's car pulled up to the entrance. I could only see her, but I was sure that the donkey was lying down so that the neighbors would not notice him or ask questions. I activated the program and started watching the live feed, and sure enough, Devin and the donkey walked in from the garage, and I pressed the record button. As soon as they entered the house, the donkey tried to hug Devin, but she pushed him away. Lorenzo, I told you that I'm married, and I'm not going to cheat on my husband, so stop it. Devin practically screamed at him. Donkey replied, Come on, Dev, I know you were on a roll yesterday before you came home. I know you want it, said the donkey. Stop, Lorenzo. Yesterday I drank a little wine and lost my guard under the sun. I made a mistake by kissing you, but I love my husband. The only reason you were here yesterday and today is because Bethany has a visitor for the weekend. Tomorrow you are leaving. Either go back to Bethany's, to the hotel, or find another place. I don't care. Suddenly, the situation worsened. This ass forced himself on my wife. I jumped out of the car and used my key to enter the garage, grabbing an aluminum baseball bat and heading inside. Devin, call 911 and get the police, I shouted across the room. I heard sirens and tires screeching on the pavement, and a moment later 2 uniformed officers came through the door with their guns drawn. One of the officers stood next to Devin, keeping his gun pointed at me, while the other one told me to put my hands on my head and interlace my fingers. I was about to be handcuffed when Devin spoke up. "No, officer, this is my husband, and he protected me from this man." She pointed to the donkey on the floor. The officer immediately handcuffed the donkey and told me to relax. Detectives soon arrived on scene and took our statements while officers arrested the donkey. Detective Dan Williams said, "I think we have everything we need at the moment. If there are any additional questions, I will contact you." Detective Chris Cagney, a woman, took Devin to the hospital to take photographs, collect evidence, and conduct an examination. A couple of hours later, Detective Cagney returned Devin home. As soon as she entered, she rushed to me, hugging me and sobbing heavily. "Alec, forgive me. Please forgive me." I hugged her and said, "It's okay, honey. He didn't have time to harm you. Let's eat, and then you can take a relaxing bath, and we'll talk about everything tomorrow." I went to the kitchen and made us sandwiches and soup. While Devin finished eating, I went to the bathroom and filled the hot tub, laid out her nightie and a clean towel. As I was finishing, Devin came into the bedroom. I came out of the bathroom and saw that she looked lost and depressed. "Honey, your bath is ready, bubbles and all." I looked into her eyes and saw pain and humiliation. I hugged her and said, "Devin, it's not your fault. Whatever your reasons for inviting this ass here, it is not an invitation to attack you. Don't blame yourself. You didn't do anything wrong." "Oh, Alec, I made a terrible mistake yesterday. Bethany saw you at the seafood festival. She told me she needed privacy because her lover was visiting for the weekend and Lorenzo couldn't stay with her. So I left before them, but waited in the car in Lorenzo's parking lot." She stopped to calm down as she started sobbing again. "Alec, I'm so guilty. I pushed him away and told him that if he couldn't behave, he would have to find a hotel for the weekend. He promised to behave and indeed behaved yesterday. And then you know the rest. By the way, how did you get here so quickly?" "Well, I saw all of you at the festival while I was eating. I saw you talking and laughing with that bitch and donkey. Given your behavior on Friday and my statement about how I felt about their plans and my opinion of you, I was seething with anger all night. I decided to go home this morning to see what was going on. When you left the parking lot on Saturday, I thought you were alone, but now I know you're not. This morning I sat in my car watching the live feed from the security cameras I installed on Monday. I watched, and when I saw him attacking you, I rushed inside. Next thing you know what happened." Pushing away from me, she said, "Were you spying on me?" "Yes. The hours spent in the hotel room alone with my thoughts and wrestling with the question of your motives for Friday's events, as well as seeing the 3 of you, pushed me over the edge. I wanted and needed to know if our marriage was worth saving or if I should file for divorce. So yes, I stopped spying on you today. Devin, I wish I could apologize for this, but I can't. If I weren't there then." Devin rushed to me, hugged me, and kissed me. Looking into her eyes, I saw only love and tenderness. My Dev, is back. While she was in the bath, I returned to the kitchen and brought her a glass of Chardonnay, then left her so she could relax and enjoy the bath. An hour later, I heard her coming down the stairs, so I went out into the living room. She was in her white terry robe, and the golden rays of the setting sun coming through the window illuminated her descent. She had an aura like an angel descending from heaven. Looking into my eyes with the sweetest smile I've ever seen, she walked towards me. I told her that she is a beautiful goddess. Dev, I love you so much, I never want to lose you. She came up to me and whispered in my ear, "Forgive me, Alec, for Friday, for everything. I love you and plan to show you how much. First, I intend to sue Lorenzo. Even if he somehow gets out of it, his legal career is over. Also, I plan to meet with the partners on Tuesday, and Bethany will be fired as soon as I tell them the whole dirty story. If they don't fire her, I will resign immediately. Either way, she and I are no longer friends. I never want to see her again. Take me to bed and make love to me. Please, Alec, I need it." We spent the rest of the night and most of Monday in bed. I won't go into details, but even a gravedigger couldn't wipe the smile off my face. On Tuesday, I was still smiling. However, Devon did not smile when meeting John Stark, James Evans, and William Doane, the founders of the company. During the meeting, she informed them about what Lorenzo wanted to do while being a guest in our house and his subsequent arrest. She told them about Bethany's role in setting her up with Lorenzo and supporting his attempts to seduce her in order to destroy our marriage, hoping to win her and become her mistress. Devon walked into the house with a smile wider than the Grand Canyon. "Alec, I have great news. The partners fired Bethany and escorted her out of the office with security and plan to ensure that she never works in a law office again, at least in this region. They are also filing a motion with the bar to revoke Lorenzo's license." I spoke with Kylie McManus from our criminal division and told her about the case against Lorenzo. She said the case was pretty solid, and with my testimony and, sorry, yours too, there was a good chance he would be convicted and get a serious prison sentence. "Don't worry, Dev. I will support you, and there is no need to apologize. Bill Simmons will testify that I was with him all day at a seafood festival where I drank too much to go, so he took me to his house where I spent the night, leaving Sunday morning. So don't worry about my testimony, the donkey will pay." Several months passed before the investigation was completed and the prosecutor's office took the case to court. John Stark personally made sure he was denied bail, so the donkey spent the entire time in the county jail. We gave our testimony under oath before the judge and jury. The defense tried to argue that everything was consensual, and it was only when I intervened that Devon began screaming about violence. Devon was again brought in for questioning, to refute the defense's allegations. I think the fear and pain in her eyes influenced the jury. Donkey was found guilty, and again, thanks to Stark's influence, the judge sentenced him to the maximum sentence of 7 to 10 years, with a mandatory minimum of 5 years before the possibility of parole. Devon told me that after her dismissal, Stark, Evans, and Doane advised Bethany to leave the Northeast region or they would make her life hell. They were very convincing, and Bethany simply disappeared. About a year after Lorenzo's incarceration, Detective Cagney called me to tell me that Lorenzo's life in prison had not been an easy ride. When the call ended, I had a smile on my face because, as I promised Devon, this ass would pay, and he paid in full. Devon went to therapy for 6 months to cope with the trauma and her behavior that led to the incident. I attended several sessions where we discussed her behavior on that strange Friday night and the moment she allowed the donkey to kiss her. Devon admitted that she allowed Bethany to influence her thoughts and that she did not plan to have an affair with Lorenzo. She was brutally honest and said that she found him charming and attractive and that her resolve might have weakened. She felt anger towards me, and after Bethany had pitted her against me all day on Friday, she was truly and completely frustrated with me, and it came to a head on that fateful Friday night. I told the judge that I did not trust Devon's judgment because she had allowed her thoughts to question me, her husband, and the state of our marriage. It took time, but we are back to being a loving and united couple where communication is key. As I reflected on the events of the past few months, I realized that everything that happened ultimately made our marriage stronger, although I do not recommend it as a method for strengthening the relationship. I hear the doorbell ring, which means the guests are starting to arrive. We're having a gender reveal party. That's right, I'm going to become a father. With a smile on my face and a little fear in my eyes, I head inside to find out if we are going to have a son or daughter. In any case, the main thing is that the child is healthy, and we will do everything possible to make him happy. The future looks really bright. Subscribe to our channel so that your love doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think click to the next one. Click to the next one.